For every adventure, the podcast that dives deep into everything outdoor.
Today's episode is all about camping.
What a fun episode. We had Kobus Potgieter, CEO from Outdoor Warehouse, camping expert on the episode, and I learned a lot, Chanel. Being prepared is so essential. We learned about his favorite camping spots. You know what? There's so much that happened in this episode. I just want you to listen.
This was really informative, and even from my perspective as a mom, I've gotten some great ideas for new adventures.
As a dad-to-be, I also learned, you know what? Take him camping when he's 1 year old. Kobus could do it. You did it.
I tried it.
You tried it. We also share a few of our own camping stories that, you know what, it didn't go well for us, but the next one is going to go great thanks to Kobus.
For every adventure, an outdoor podcast experience brought to you by Outdoor Warehouse.
All right. Welcome to the For Every Adventure podcast brought to you by Outdoor Warehouse. I'm Kyle. Hello, Chanel.
Hi, Chanel here.
I bet when you go out and you just choose a random person, you're like, have you gone camping? They're probably going to tell you yes.
Especially South Africans.
Especially South Africans.
You know, Kyle, I must say my first real camp was with a 1-year-old.
Okay.
And I think that's what probably made me realize I really don't know what I'm doing. Okay.
What, with the 1-year-old or with the camping?
No, I was okay with the 1-year-old, but going camping with him, I think there's so much more that you have to take into account. Okay. And, so my story, basically, I went with this baby. He managed to get sick while we're on the camp, and you're just not prepared for it. So you end up with and the stress was because of all the other campers around us, because, you know, my little one was sort of screaming his lungs out. I think it's very important to keep that in mind. Go camping now, Kyle, before you have that baby.
Okay. Or wait like a few years, because it's such a nice family activity. I think most people prefer to go camping with their families, at least with their significant other. So it is a group activity. I don't see a lot of people going camping on their own. I mean, it's probably okay, but it's something to share, because you're not, again, to me, I'm not going to take my phone and be on social media and communicate with my friends like that. If I'm going camping, I'm taking a group of friends and we're going to play a few board games or, you know, other activities, such as the activities we did on my 20th birthday. So I was the organizer of a camp. I got a nice spot. The plot where we did the camping had electricity. There was a nice tree. And getting there, it's a bunch of 20-year-olds. So, you know, we're there to celebrate because it's my 20th birthday. So the priorities might have been a bit off at that moment.
Just a little bit, okay.
So in the evening, we realized I don't have a light. No one brought a light.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was fun. Didn't bother us too much. We kept ourselves busy. Through the weekend, Saturday, no one goes to buy a light. Sunday, no one goes to buy a light. Eventually, I think Saturday evening, someone comes with a pack of candles. Like, all right, boys, here we go. We've got light. And it's like, no, we don't have light. I realized comfort is actually very important for camping. Yeah. Not glamping comfort, but just a mattress would have been nice.
Would have been nice.
Yeah,
yes.
I shared a tent, a small 2-man nylon tent with someone. It was comfortable enough, but I didn't sleep a lot. So now comes Sunday morning, everyone is a bit tired for various reasons, but one of them is we didn't sleep well because we didn't prepare very well. We pack up, one of the guys just literally not having a hard time breaking the tent down, just left the tent there, you know, not even taking it. So I think when it comes to camping, it's about letting the technology go and letting the everyday stuff go, but be comfortable enough to enjoy it. Right?
But now that you've had that experience, you've learned from it.
Yes.
See? So that's the thing. I think you can start with not all the comforts and then build it up.
Exactly. Do you have any non-negotiables that you would put on a list now for your camping trip?
You know what? I get cranky when I'm cold. So for me, I would have to prep, be sure that you are warm enough at all times. So that's for me, it's like non-negotiables, the woolen socks and the beanie, that sort of thing. Prepping for all conditions.
And a summer camp? I know we're knee deep in winter right now.
Some of us get cold in summer, Kyle.
Okay. That camping trip I took, I'm not going to say how many years ago, but it's more than a decade. It was at the end of August. So we also had rain on that camping trip. And no one thought to themselves, hey, let's prep for some rain. We were just celebrations, going out, going camping. Yay, boys. And it worked out the way it worked out.
Finding the right place.
Yes.
It's important for me to not have to listen to other people's taste in music for the entire camping time.
Good.
It could be good, but I think also research beforehand, and make sure you've got,
research
the
music trends at the campsite.
The places you go, and maybe sort of organize a nice group to go camping in. That's important.
I think the older couple across the road enjoyed the Metallica going for 3 days.
I'm sure,
straight.
Kyle.
Yeah, I think they enjoyed it. We have a great guest on today, Chanel, CEO from Outdoor Warehouse. He's a camping expert. He's got a lot of stories to share, and chatting to him before the episode, we're going to find out exactly how important it is to be prepared for a camp.
Yes, I'm sure he's going to give us a couple of tips, so can't wait to chat to Kobus.
You're not going to go, your first camping trip is obviously not going to be 2 weeks long, but it could be something that you really enjoy, and it could be something you grow into. And then we're going to have all the tips you need to properly prep for an extended camping stay. So there's going to be something for everyone, and I'm really excited.
We'll be chatting to Kobus Potgieter next. Just a quick word from our sponsors.
Did you know that Outdoor Warehouse offers various services right here in the store? Bring in your camping, hunting and fishing knives and get the blades sharpened to perfection. Plus, you can upgrade your GPS maps so you will always find your way. And we will even repair any damaged tent poles and tents. All at Outdoor Warehouse for every adventure. For every adventure podcast, bringing you all the tips and tricks for your next adventure.
So welcome, Kobus, to For Every Adventure, brought to you by Outdoor Warehouse. But you know that, CEO of Outdoor Warehouse and an avid expert camper, right?
Hello, Kyle. Yeah, hello, Chanel. Thanks for having me here today. I don't know those big words, if I agree with them all, but camping, yes, I do love camping.
Is camping something that you think starts when you're very young? Because I know it becomes a tradition in family. You're very young, you go with your parents. I had a Hartenbos camping thing, actually, that I forgot to tell you about. Not my type of camp, very much busy, but I know it's a tradition for families to go out and go camping. Is that where it started for you?
Yes, Kyle. I mean, I grew up on the farm and my dad believed to show us South Africa. And we went camping throughout South Africa. And every December holiday, we went camping. And I think that's where the love for camping started. But I think there's various ways which you can start love camping. You know, it's not just have to grow up with it, even with friends and family that talks about it and you get excited about it. I think all of those things help you to start camping.
I think it's definitely something that you can learn. I mean, I love nature, but we never camped. So as a child, not growing up with it, and I mean, I didn't really get invited to any camps as an extra.
Are you okay?
Shame for me. So I think it's something that, also in adult life, but then you start from the bottom, not knowing anything. But okay, so you've traveled, I'll call you an adventurer, I must say. So we can definitely learn from your camping experience today, Kobus.
Chanel, yes, and I think the most important, and I think it sounds a bit quiche or whatever the word is, but to plan properly.
Okay.
For any camp or any adventure you do, whatever you want to do and you want to do it successfully and you want to do it comfortably, you have to plan properly.
That's so true. It's a lesson I learned the hard way. So let's say you're doing like a compact weekend away camping trip. What are the essentials? How do you plan for that?
So, Carl, first of all, you must know where you're going. Or must have an idea more or less where you're going. You must know the various elements where you're going. Are you going to be in the mountains? Are you going to be close to the water? Is there any facilities close by? If it's a hike, are you allowed to hike there? Do you need a permit to be there? Are you in a nature conservation area or you're going to a farm? So you have to plan and read up and find out from your friends that's been there or look at what elements are going to be with or against you.
Okay.
So the shorter you go, obviously, the smaller tent you need and the less you need to carry with you. Are you driving there? Are you walking there? So for a one-nighter, it's easy. It's a small hiking tent. It's a comfortable sleeping bag and a foam mattress or a roll-out mattress which you can carry, which is light. and a small gas cooker, and you'll be fine. But you still have to plan. You need to know where you're going, especially looking at the elements, because in South Africa you could have summer, but in the evenings it can get to -2 as well if you go to the Cederberg. So you need to know where you're going and what elements you're going to face.
That's true.
I suppose it is easier these days. You can research properly, look at reviews and speak to people beforehand. I'm sure, in days gone by, that was more like you just take the risk and you go.
Yeah. Fortunately, I think the technology has helped the people, especially to know where you're going and what's available. But I don't think you must plan on having your cell phone with you, because you might be at the remote place where you won't have any signal. So do your planning before you go.
And tell someone where you're going is a big part, eh?
That's very important. I think people forget that. If you're going for an overnight, tell your friends or somebody where you're going, when you're leaving, and when they should expect you back. Because that helps if you get lost or something happens to you, that people are aware of it and they can come looking for you.
Very important. So how does your camping gear differ? Is there a big difference between a shorter camping trip and a longer camping trip?
Oh, yes, Kyle. I think there's a huge difference. You'll start, if you look at the festivals and a short stay or a weekend stay, it will be a small nylon tent for 1 or 2 people. And you just take the bare essentials. Because, as you know, some of those people don't even bring the stuff back. So you're looking at something that would be a bit of shelter and some place where you can go and sleep for an hour or 2. And then if you start planning to go a bit longer, you'll buy a bigger nylon tent, and you will take in consideration the people that's going with you. You're not going to go by yourself. You're going with friends or you're going with family. So you need a bigger tent. So therefore you have to plan for your sleeping arrangements. Always, a roof over your head, which is a tent, a sleeping bag, a mattress, a stretcher, or a roll-out foam mattress. And if you don't have space for that, even take some newspaper with, put that at the bottom, and you can sleep on newspaper, because then the cold won't come through.
Okay.
And if you're really remotely and there's nothing, you can heat a few stones, you can dig a hole, put the ground over that and lie on that. You'll have your own electric blanket, which is warm rocks. So there's various ways and things to keep comfortable. But just make sure you plan, you've got the right stuff with you. So I think if you go 2 or 3 days, it's a light, easy kind of pack. And you have to start planning with your sleeping arrangement, and then you go to your cooking arrangements, and then you go to your personal stuff. So I think it evolves. You go for a longer camp, the more equipment you need.
I like the tip about the warm rocks.
Yes.
Because I'm a rock and roll guy. So, rocks, and then you roll when you sleep.
Okay. Thanks for that one, Kyle.
Yeah, it's fine, yeah.
And then I suppose also, Kobus, the longer you go, the more you have to be prepared for any changes in weather. So that also, it's also important to think ahead.
It's very important to know. If you're going to the bush, it's different than going to the sea. So if you're going to camp close by the sea and close where the winds are very strong and where you've got 4 seasons in one day, then you'll have to look at a ground sheet where you have to put to protect the soil. You have to look at storm sheets to put over your tent. You have to look at storm straps to tie it down. There's so many things that you can do to make your camping experience well worth it, and that you want to go back there. And even a simple thing like a sleeping bag. Don't buy a 10-degree sleeping bag if you're going to a place which is going to be minus 10 degrees. You buy a proper sleeping bag that you'll be warm enough, because there's nothing as bad as getting cold in a camping. And the longer you go, then you must start planning for your games. Always take games with you.
Yes.
And I can tell you a story what happened to me. As a family, we went camping, and my little boy was a year old, and we went in tents, and it rained for 2 weeks.
No.
How long was the camping trip?
The camping trip was a week and a half, but it rained for 2 weeks, and it was at the beach, beautiful caravan site, but with tents. And we were in the tent for a week and a half, non-stop rain. We didn't plan for games. We planned boogie boards, surfboards, snorkeling, and all the external things. And now we're stuck inside, where we didn't take any games with us, So it's important. It sounds silly, but if you go for a long camp and a long stay, make sure you are covered to do all the fun things you want to do in-house and in the outdoors.
Definitely. And I think the choice of tent is going to be essential when going on a camping trip. Why a nylon tent? Are they just waterproof? Are they warmer? Are they more comfortable? How does that work?
So, Kyle, if you start, obviously you work within a budget. You start, let's presume, younger, you're still up and coming. You don't have too much disposable income. And then you use a nylon tent, which is cheaper. It's durable for our South African weather. But if you go to really stormy conditions, it's not advisable to take a nylon tent. It's got a 2,000 to 3,000 water column, which means with a lot of rain, the rain is going to seep through. It's not completely waterproof. That a complete waterproof thing it doesn't really exist.
Okay.
And then the longer you stay, then you'll start looking at the canvas tent. It's more durable. It can take the harsh conditions. And those are the same tents that people used to use in the military, in the army. It used to be polycotton, but it's now polyester, which is basically the same material, but it's not canvas like the old canvas. But it's like a 400 millimeter thickness, which is perfect for long stay.
And then, Kobus, with regards to ground sheets, is that something that you definitely have to have? Are there some campsites that require that you have a ground sheet?
Chanel, yeah, I would advise to take a ground sheet wherever you go. First of all, if you stay long and there's grass and you put a ground sheet down, it protects the lawn and the grass. So when you lift up your camp after a week or 2 weeks, you'll see the grass is just flat, but it will grow easier. If you put a solid thing which is not breathable on top of it, the grass will die. So it's just protecting the place. Even if you go on a place where there's sand, it also helps. So it's advisable to buy a ground sheet.
And it's also protecting your tent, I suppose.
Yes, it protects the bottom of your tent because your bottom of your tent is a ground sheet, but a solid one. And if there's something sharp, it can pierce through the tent. So if you put the ground sheet down, it protects it from any damage going forward.
Okay.
So I'm wondering about the unwritten rules when you're at a campsite, like from setup to breakdown. Is there anything that we need to know? It's not written down anywhere, but everyone knows about it.
First of all, if your camp is already set up, you must sit and watch the people, how they battle.
You must.
Yes, you must. It's a first-time camper. It's an unwritten rule that you have to set up your own campsite.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're never going to learn.
Okay.
If you really see the people are battling and they don't know which way, then you can help them. But they must first, at least give it a try themselves, not just sit in their car and ask you to pitch their tent. But if it's really, like a mother and daughter, which happened to us, and we were sitting next to them, watching them for 2 hours, not knowing which side is left or right. And then my friend and myself decided to help her. And it's now 18 years later and we're still friends.
Good.
She was very angry with us and we said, no, but if you and your daughter come and camp, you must know what you do. So now we'll show you. And up to this day, it's a big joke for us that we didn't help them.
How all good friendships begin with anger. Huh? Speaking of battling to get things set up, I've never gotten a sleeping bag back in its original packaging. I go and I lay it out neatly on the grass or wherever, roll it up as tight as I can, just roll it up, try and get it back in the bag. Never happened. Always looks like a mushroom or something when I'm done.
It's a skill, Kyle.
Yeah, there must be a trick for it, Kobus.
Kyle, yes. If you take a sleeping bag out of the bag, to roll it up and try and put it back, you're going to battle.
Yes.
So what you do, you take the bottom end of your sleeping bag, the one that's not open, and you just start stuffing it into the bag. And you stuff it into the bag until the whole sleeping bag is in. And you'll see it easily fits into the bag.
Yeah.
And it even has a nice round shape, although you've just stuffed it in like that.
So when you're struggling, you just say, well, stuff it. And you just, I'm full of jokes today.
No, and also what I wanted to say is pitch your stuff at home before you go on a camping trip.
Okay. Like a demo run.
So if you buy a new tent, please pitch it at your home or pitch it where there's a space. See that you know how it works. See what is in there. And then you can also plan your sleeping arrangements with the size of the tent inside. You can also look at your storage, which you need, So you can plan your little home in the tent if you pitch it at home. And if there's something short or something not working, you can go back to the place where you bought it and they can fix it for you. They can advise you on that.
And then, Kobus, do you check beforehand if your tent is waterproof? I mean, are you going to do that check?
Chanel, yes. And that's very important if you buy a canvas tent.
Okay.
So a canvas tent needs to be treated before you use it the first time camping. So you pitch it at home, and they will also tell you at the store, then you have to wet it with a hose pipe or wet the whole tent. The stitching, where the stitching is on the edges, the cotton there needs to swell. And it only happens once it's wet the first time. So you wet your tent and you'll see a few little drips, but that's natural. And then you can just put wax, normal beeswax, candle wax, and there is a wax in the bag for the canvas tents.
Okay.
And you just treat all the seams where the cotton is with that wax after you've wetted. And then you won't have a problem. And if ever you, in 2 or 3 years' time, see a little bit, you do the same. But you have to treat your tent, a canvas tent, before you pitch it and start camping.
So would you suggest every time you go camping, you do this test?
It's good to do it every time, but once you do it the first time, you should be fine.
Okay.
And also, I think what people forget is when you break down your camp, to clean the equipment and clean the stuff properly.
Kobus, do you have any favorite camping spots that you like to visit?
Kyle, I love in winter month to go to the bush, but in summer to go along the coast. You know, South Africa's got such a beautiful coastline and so many beautiful campsites, you know, caravan parks, campsites, and on the ocean, next to the rivers. You know, I'm not very choosy, but I do love in December to camp close to the beach or on a lagoon or where there's water and lots of activity to do. You know, if you're a fisherman, if you're a surfer, you want to be close to the water. So there's various reasons for that. So yes, I do love going in December close to the sea.
That makes sense, but why the bush in the winter?
Kyle, in the winter, it's not so warm in the bush because our bush, it tends to be very warm in summer. And also it's dry season then. You could see the game so much better. And the grass isn't that thick and green. So it's brown and shorter. So if you love watching animals, it would be to your benefit to go in winter. It's not that warm and it doesn't get that freezing cold if you go to the Kruger or to Botswana or any of those places in winter.
Have you had any close encounters with these game animals?
Kyle, when we were younger, I mean, obviously your brains haven't developed as it should. We went to Botswana and we were sleeping on top of a bakkie. And in the evening, we decided to walk down, you know, for a comfort break, which wasn't so clever because there were 2 hyenas lying next to the fire and they were busy eating our shoes, you know. And
wow.
Yeah, so that was very close. I mean, but you could actually smell them. They don't smell very nice. And yeah, and we quickly got back of the bakkie and did what we had to do from the bakkie and not going down in the wild.
Wow.
That's quite scary. So, okay, so that's one thing to keep in mind, safety-wise. But for me, I love being in nature, but I'm also always a little bit weary as to also where to go with children. And I mean, for me, camping should be exploring. So I like remote places. But now how do you make sure, you know, safety is such a big thing, especially with children. Do you have any advice there?
To know your landscape, you know, that you're not close to a waterfall or close to mountains where people can fall off, but all the smaller camping places on farms and up to the Cederberg, you know, I'm calling the Cederberg or Rossenville. There's a lot of nice places on farms which is safe.
Okay, that's good.
You can be in charge of your own destiny then.
And that's what I like about camping. I want to be remote. I want to be away from people and, you know, just break away a bit.
And then, Kobus, also you've said that you've now camped with children. Is it important to plan your activities beforehand?
Chanel, I think it's very important, you know, because as I say, the weather can play a card on you. You might think it's a beach day, but it's not at all. You know, then you can make sure you've got alternate games or some other things to do and to keep them busy because it's nothing so difficult camping with younger kids and they're bored. You know, most of these camping sites, you don't have electronic devices or Wi-Fi. You know, so it's that you need to do stuff with them to keep them busy. But I think if you know your kids and you know the environment, there's a lot of things to do. You know, even a hike for them can be fun.
And also, I think kids they just disappear. They remember they're kids again, and you see them when it's dinner time. So it's actually fantastic if you can go camping with the kids and just let them reign free.
So I know there are a lot of listeners who are going, okay, but what about glamping, guys? Because we're glampers.
What's your take on that, Kobus? Glamping.
I think it's like technology. Older people don't believe in technology, but we've got no choice to use them. So I'm classifying myself there.
Okay.
Yes, glamping, I think, evolves from camping because they wouldn't call it glamping if it didn't start from camping. So they want to give people the opportunity that maybe cannot camp anymore. They're not able or physically able to pitch their own tents or be totally off the grid. So they will go to a place which is a tented town, or it feels a bit exclusive, and you've got the camping feeling, but you've got all the luxuries and more than what you have at home. And you're still close to nature. So I believe it's just a normal evolving of camping.
But doesn't it defeat the purpose of camping? Because in my mind it does. Maybe I'm just not sure where the line is between camping and glamping. But for me, there has to be a certain level of discomfort. Not like so bad that you can't sleep, but you're sort of battling the elements also. Or not.
I don't know, Carl. I think the more comfortable you can make yourself.
So where's the
Why
line?
not?
Where's the line between comfortable camping and glamping? Is there like an accessory and you go, okay, now that's a glamp?
If you're going to take your hair straightener, okay, you're not camping anymore.
Okay. Fair enough. I'm not going to take my hair straightener.
Okay, good. No, I know what you're saying. You want to get that feeling of being sort of out and about in nature and maybe just, not having everything that you have at home.
I think if one's got a purpose why you're doing it, I think it's more important. If you go glamping or camping, but you want to get away from the hustle and the bustle and you want to go and walk, and there's a hike close by where you do your glamping, but you do the same when you're camping, I think the purpose, or you go bird watching, or you go, I think people must choose, because they still choose it to be away from their natural environment and just do something else. So it's not that bad.
What's the thing that people spend the most money on when it comes to camping, like the universal item that everybody just has to have in their collection?
Well, you have to have a place to sleep. So you have to have a tent. And if it's not a tent, it's going to be a camp trailer. If it's not a camp trailer, it's going to be a caravan. So you need accommodation.
Okay.
And then the next thing, obviously, things to sleep and be comfortable. You need storage. And then cooking. Cooking is a very important part of camping.
Braaiing.
Yeah, it's not just braaiing. There's so many braai accessories that you can do a potjie, you can do braai, and if there's not a facility for that, you'll be cooking on gas. But cooking with all the utensils and what you can do is so important in camping, and I always say to people, make yourself a menu for the time you're going away. Plan your breakfast, plan your lunch, plan your dinner, because it helps you with the bulk you're carrying around. So, you know yourself if you go shopping. If you plan properly, you buy less and you buy correctly. So if you go camping and you're 3 families and you're going to eat together, plan a menu. It's really a good tip for people going camping to plan a proper menu, and you will buy accordingly, and you'll see it save you a lot of space and time and money.
Kobus, I'm sure that if you plan properly, you're going to think of everything. But then there's always that one thing that you go, how could I have forgotten the black bags or the spatula or whatever? The light, Kyle. Are there items that people tend to forget when they go camping? Like, what's that one thing that people always forget at home?
I think what you've mentioned are the items people normally miss. But what I would suggest is a first aid kit.
Okay.
And, you can buy a first aid kit, but you have to customize it according to your needs and the people that's going with you. Because if you've got kids that's allergic to stuff, you must make sure you've got the right medication there. And it's vitally important to take a first aid kit with you, even if it's just for overnight. One can injure your fingers, your hands, or your ankle. You need strapping, you need medication, you need pain medication, you need the basics. And I think that's something people tend to forget or not think about, but it is vitally important.
Is there another basic item except for the first aid kit that you would suggest?
So tools and accessories is also something. And if you forget everything and you've got the multi-tool and you've got duct tape,
yes,
you'll be fine. So duct tape, you can fix everything. You can even fix a leak on your tent. You can fix a broken pole, and with a multi-tool, you've got enough. You've got a screwdriver, you've got like a tong. It's got everything in it, so you'll be fine with that. But I suggest some spares, like extra rope, extra tent pegs. People tend to forget those things, but even a extra rope will help you.
Okay.
If your rope pulls out of the tent, you can always make a plan. You can put a little rock in and you tie it around the rock. Never try and make a hole in your tents because you will just rip it further. You take a little rock and you tie the rope around the rock and you've got a solid base to tie something on.
Fantastic. All the tips and tricks. I feel very prepared for whenever the next camping trip. You know what? I'm going to take the boy when he's 1 year old.
Oh, you go for
it.
And
I'll take the family games with.
Make a proper list, Kyle, please. And your own list. There's lots of lists available, but make your own custom list and you'll see it makes camping so much easier.
Great advice. And I think that's maybe the biggest takeaway here. Just be prepared for everything. Destination is very important. So, Kobus, tell me about a few experiences you've personally had when camping. Was there ever a moment where you think things really went wrong?
Kyle, yes, we've had a real bad experience where at Keurboom's Lagoon a few years ago, where a gas bottle exploded in a caravan. And it all started by people putting Christmas lights on.
Something so joyful.
Yes.
Causing something so bad.
And the Christmas lights ignited the gas and the gas bottle exploded. And it was the whole caravan burned down. Luckily, no people were.
Sure, okay.
They were injured, but nobody passed away. And that left like a real impression. And, we try and light up our lives with artificial things when we're camping, where we must be very aware of where and how we pitch stuff, gas. And obviously there must have been a gas leak. So gas inside a caravan is not advisable. Use gas in an open space, not in a confined space. And make sure if you smell gas that you don't switch any light on that can ignite it. And another bad experience was people camping under a big old tree. And the wind and the weather was bad. And the tree fell on their van.
Oh, no.
And luckily it was in the daytime. So nobody was injured, So also important to choose your spot where you pitch your tent and stuff. People go to the Kalahari and Kalahari and they see these beautiful trees with the bird nest and they think this is a beautiful spot to camp under. Stay away because those big nests has got so many snakes and stuff in them. And so the next morning, if you wake up, your tent is covered in bird poo and there's snakes and that's where the scorpions also kind of gather because of the food source. So one must be very careful and know your environment before you pitch a tent or where you think it's a nice place to set up. Just be very cautious on where and how you do it.
Yeah. Can you imagine, Chanel, you're waking up, you're expecting this idyllic scene in front of you. You're outside, it's all peaceful. You open your tent and it's just bird poo and snakes and scorpions everywhere.
Yeah, so I think safety first, and you've got to realize you're now in nature, so anything can happen at any time.
Yeah, well, I think you can't prepare for that, but you must be prepared before you do something,
And on the other side of the spectrum, any special moments you've had when camping?
Kyle, this contradicts what I said prior, but if you're in a campsite with people around and you really need something, there will always be somebody to help you or give you the product. Okay. I think what's special for me is if you walk around in a campsite, to get 200 meters is very difficult because each and everybody invites you in for a drink or a coffee or, have you seen this? I think that's what makes camping so special. The people want to share their ideas. And unfortunately, if they know where you work, they've got more ideas to share with you. And they always want to sell me products and stuff. But I think camping and what makes it so special is the sharing of the knowledge and the tips. And, you always learn. I've been camping for 30, 40 years. I'll give my age away. But, every camp I go to, I learn something new.
That's interesting. Now I'm wondering if someone in a camp train has ever showed you a product and you were thinking, wow, this is actually good. This is something I can use.
Yes, we've used some of them.
Okay.
But the people did get the benefit from that.
Yeah, of course.
No, so you've got very inventive people, The farmers, they're used to making their own things. And you get lots of stainless steel products which they've come up with. And which makes your life easier. You know, camping is not there to battle. I think all the products are there to make your life easier, to make you enjoy it, you know. So I can't just remember one enjoyable, but as I say, just the whole camping vibe and the people around you, which makes your stay so much comfortable and better. That is what camping is all about.
Speaking of fantastic products, we've got a product review coming up with Kobus, and we've got a great tent we're going to tell you about just after this.
Have you heard about the range of services that we offer in the store? We will test 12-volt electrical appliances for free and offer you our best advice. We also make up electrical cables especially for you. Plus, we do custom laser engraving on products and gifts for individuals and businesses. Right here at Outdoor Warehouse for every adventure.
For every adventure. The official Outdoor Warehouse podcast that brings you everything you need to know for your next adventure.
So we've learned a lot about camping today, and I think the biggest takeaway so far is being prepared, but also having the right living quarters. You know, you need a comfortable place to stay, right?
Yeah, okay. So I'm in the market for a tent.
Okay, fantastic.
And I think that this could be the one. It's called the Tentco Senior Wanderer. It's a 4 to 5 person canvas dome tent, which already makes it sound to me like there's enough space. So
yes, definitely.
So, Kobus, would you say this is the tent for me?
If you're looking at the Tentco Senior Wanderer, it is a canvas tent and it's a dome tent, which is a step up from a nylon tent, but a very easy to pitch tent. It's got 2 crossbars, which you fold over. So you with one person can actually pitch the tent, or you can actually pitch the tent yourself if you've done it before. It is durable for any weather because it's canvas, and you will do that purchase once in your life. You won't have to buy another tent again. And you can use it for short stay and long stay. It's not too expensive and it's not too heavy. So as a female, you will be able to carry it and you'll be able to transport it in your car, and it gives you everything you need. And the beauty of that tent is there's a lot of added extras which you can buy.
Okay.
So if you now decide a weekend camp is not long enough for you anymore, you're going upgrade to a week, you can buy the gazebo. And the gazebo fits in the front of the tent at the opening. So you've got like an extension which you can add onto the tent and onto the gazebo, and it makes it one big room with a living room. So, and then once you've got the gazebo with the tent, you can buy sidewalls. You know, you can close it on the side. So that is a fantastic tent to start camping with, or if you've camped before, and to buy added extras as you progress and the longer you camp.
It's something you can build on, which is really nice. You get the tent, it's durable, you get a few things extra, and then piece by piece you become an expert camper. Huh?
That's great.
And your living quarters become bigger, your kitchen becomes bigger.
Yeah, space to play the games.
Yes, everything is just much better the longer you camp.
Oh, fantastic. Well, you can get this tent at Outdoor Warehouse. Go make a turn at outdoorwarehouse.co.za. Just search the Tentco Senior Wanderer 4 to 5 person canvas dome tent, or just go to your closest Outdoor Warehouse. I reckon every Outdoor Warehouse has an expert camper in there.
Yes, we've got we'll call them tent experts.
Okay.
So, not camping, that's too wide.
Yeah, it's
because
too broad.
There's too many categories. But we've got tent experts and, fridge experts, and expert in each one of our categories, which will be able to help you. And they also show you how to pitch the tent and how to care for the tent.
That's good to know. I mean, if you have questions about the waterproofing, you can always just go and ask the expert there at Outdoor Warehouse.
It's very important to ask them to pitch the tent for me and show me, and then you can make a judgment call much easier.
Okay. Well, thank you, Kobus, for all the info you gave us today. I'm sure there are expert campers who listened, who learned something new. There are novice campers, maybe like Chanel and I, who also learned something from you. The biggest takeaway I have, again, is just being prepared. And I've learned, you know what? It's okay to be comfy when you go camping, because I had this mindset where I need to go out of the urban areas into
rough it up,
challenge yourself a bit, be uncomfortable, find yourself. I don't know.
You need to go to the army.
But yes, I think so. Maybe there's something there. But I've learned, if you wanna go out, you wanna get into nature, but be comfortable. You don't want to go home after 2 nights.
Yeah.
So this was really informative for me.
I thought I was prepared, and then I realized no. I mean, I still needed to prep even after you think you're prepared. So think of absolutely every eventuality. That's definitely something I'll take away from this.
Are there lists at Outdoor Warehouse one can use to prepare for camping?
There's lists on the website and at the in-store as well.
There you go. Fantastic. If you have any questions about camping, you can direct them at the Outdoor Warehouse social media platforms. Also, we're going to be doing an episode on cooking. So we would love to hear what you like to cook when you go out or go camping or are outdoors. Any recipes are welcome.
Yeah, please get in touch with us and let us know if you have any special outdoor recipes. I'm quite looking forward to that one.
Yes, it's going to be interesting and it's going to keep me hungry, but that's also okay. So again, thank you for listening. Remember, every second Wednesday we release an episode. You can check us out on Spotify or on Apple.
It's been great having you here, Kobus Potgieter, CEO of Outdoor Warehouse.
And thanks, Kobus, for giving us the opportunity to spread all this fantastic information about the outdoors. For Every Adventure is brought to you by Outdoor Warehouse, and we enjoy it very much. So thanks for that. See you next time.
Join the For Every Adventure podcast as we explore the great outdoors.